What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we are going to review this fountain pen. This is the Tibaldi Bononia. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I am not 100% sure. That's just what the internet tells me. And we all know how far we can go with that. So this pen I purchased as one of the pens that was voted on in my Patreon crew. I gave them a giant list of pens that I was thinking of getting, and this was tied for first place. So here it is. So it's a really gorgeous looking fountain pen. I will put the name here of the finish because that is escaping me at this time, but it is beautiful looking. The silver one just had my interest straight up. Apologies for the sniff there. And it is obviously a cigar shape. It does come down to, again, apologies. For those of you who've been wondering why I've been gone for about a week, I've been constantly fighting a cold. It's never formed into a full-blown one. But I keep sniffing and stumbling and all this kind of stuff, which does not make for a lovely audio experience. That's also why I'm not on camera today, but it's been too long and I need to make more content. So the pen is a cigar shape for sure. It comes down to a pretty severe point. You can certainly feel the stop on the end here, but I love the material because I mean it's just beautiful. You don't feel any texture. It's all inlaid within the pen, but it reminds me very much of the Leonardo Officina Italiana Momento Zero Grande in, I think it's their sand finish. It really reminds me of that. I do not know which one came first, so it just reminds me because that's the one I happened to see first. The clip goes right into the body. It's fairly common. There's nothing really like stupendous about it. Even the shape, it's pretty uniform. Just comes down to, a point. Nothing super fancy, but works as a roll stop. Inlaid here does say Tabaldi. It's really difficult to get my camera to pick that up, but it does say Tabaldi, and on the back it says made in Italy, and then has 3 silver trim rings, which you do feel. They're not perfectly inlaid into the pen. Pretty sharp step down onto the body, and then it does slowly taper down, and there's nothing imprinted on the body. Unscrew the barrel. Nothing really fancy in the lid. The material does continue onto the grip section, which you can see I have blue ink in there. It is a little bit see-through. And then this just gets me every time. The material continues onto the threads, but that one spot just makes me giggle. The grip section is pretty short, pretty narrow, so your thumbs absolutely do rest on the threads, but they're very, very shallow. You do not feel them. It's a relatively chunky grip section, which is nice. Again, very similar to Leonardo Momento Zeros, but it does have a little bit of a flare out to stop you from going too far. And then you have the Tabaldi Steel Nib. I chose to get fine. Has their logo with their little half eagle and a plastic feed. Looks like Ebonite, but when I googled it, it is plastic. Unscrew the body. Metal threads, so you cannot eyedrop or convert the whole body. Even though this would be the perfect body to do so, they did put metal, which I think is a downside. They should have put plastic, in my opinion. And then a standard international converter, but they do have their name labeled on it. I have put silicone grease on these threads because it was very unpleasant screwing the pen into the body. very unpleasant. It was super scratchy. I felt like I was breaking it every single time. So I chose to put silicone grease on the threads inside. I don't like it when they do resin to metal. I think it either needs to have metal on the inside of here, so that's metal on metal, or make this resin as well, because it just doesn't feel well, like it doesn't feel good, and it also feels like it's just gonna break and, you know, just wear over time. And I'm thinking, like, I kind of almost want to put silicone grease here too, but I know that's gonna get all over my fingers and I don't want to, because this is not nice. It catches, it sticks. So like if I go super, super light, it's sticky. I have to put pressure. So like here, I'm gonna take it out of focus and put it towards my mic so you can hear. It's not smooth, and I don't like that at all. So I think Tibaldi needs to pay closer attention to the details of their pen. I don't know, this is the only Tibaldi I've ever used, so I do not know if that's a common thing with them or if this just happens to be a one-off, but both the internal threads and the threads that the cap goes on, not pleasant for me. It is very pleasant to hold. I do like the way that this feels. It's pretty light, which I enjoy. You can post if you wish to, but then it's a little bit long for me. It's not super back weighted posted, but I notice it because I'm very sensitive to that, because I typically don't post my pens. Sorry, I just shook everything. So gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous looking pen. I like the look of it, like I said, but they just need to pay closer attention to the details. I think if they can nail those down, they will be miles ahead. So that's the whole pen itself. Now let's talk specifically about the nib and writing experience. Just so you know, the ink that I have put in here is my trusty Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. I love this stuff. This is the ink that I put into every pen if I want to make sure that I give it its best chance. This is a nice writing ink. Decently wet without being a gusher, but it's certainly not dry. It behaves really well, so I have that in there. And let's bring out some Tomoe River paper, shall we? All right, I'm just gonna scribble for a second because I have had this uncapped for a while, so it may need a minute. Not so bad. All right. Okay, so once again, this is the fine steel Tabaldi nib with Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. Yes, Parker. My goodness gracious. This nib, when I first got it, was very, very, very stiff. I did have to do a couple, where you just work out some figure eights and you put a little bit more pressure on the downstroke, because the tines were so tight together that it was extraordinarily dry. Now that I've worked with it a little bit, now that I've loosened it up a little bit, it's much better. It is still on the drier side, which I personally don't like, but I know that is a personal taste thing. It's not just me. Sorry, I'm watching Parker now. She's getting very, very close to my ink stash. Let me show you. Well, I didn't know we were going to get a Parker break, but we did. Yeah, so that is a personal choice as far as wetness goes. But for my first ever experience with Tibaldi, it hasn't been a super smooth one. Not totally unpleasant, I've certainly had worse, but it does fall short of my expectations. It's not a super cheap pen. I'll put the price down here. So I did expect more, and I know that pricing, it has nothing to do with the quality sometimes. I get that. But my general overall experience with Italian pens has been very, very pleasant. And this, unfortunately, has put a stain on that. Reverse writing, believe it or not, is actually more pleasant than the regular, and it's almost the exact same thing. So it's not that it's a bad writing experience, it's just suboptimal for me. If you enjoy finer writing, which is perfect where I am, this is a perfectly fine nib. I would say it's not quite like a Japanese fine for sure, but it is on the finer side for an Italian pen, certainly. It's a crisp line, which I like. I have zero problems with that. If you like a drier writer pen, I think this would be perfect for you. Like it's not so dry where you're gonna have hard starts and skips. I don't. I have had hard starts, like I was surprised that this actually went up right away because I've been admiring the pen and didn't have it capped for a while. But that's just, any pen will do that, not necessarily just this. So functionality wise, it's fine. And it's a little too dry for my liking. But again, that is my personal preference. So all wrapped up, would I recommend it? That's the hard part, and that's why it's taken me so long to do this review. Would I recommend it? No. I'm going to say no, but there's a caveat to that. I think I need to try another Tabaldi pen to really cement that opinion, because I want to know, like, is my thread issues just this pen? Is the fact that this is like a super dry writer and, you know, I needed to work in the nib a little bit, like, is that just this pen? So I need your guys' help. Please let me know in the comment section down below if you have used a Tibaldi, especially a Bononia, but any Tibaldi pen that is a steel nib with a plastic feed. Have you experienced these issues before? If the general consensus is yes, then I would cement my no, don't do it. But if the general consensus is no, and then I have just a unique weird one, then I would say yes. Because I think that the pen is gorgeous. I think that the pen has potential. It just needs a little bit of TLC, a little bit of QC, essentially, which is unfortunate because I had high expectations for this pen. But that is all I'm going to say about it today. If you've liked this video, hit that like button. Check out the comments to see other people's opinions. Hit the subscribe if you've yet to do so. Check out the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.